No, single target does not suck. However, I wouldn't really recommend it. Let's get into it. Hello everybody, my name is Christian, and it is currently about to be 1 a.m. I think I've lost control of my life. Anyway, so today we are going to be hopefully doing a bit of a shorter video about something recently that I kind of got into that, well, I didn't get a lot of flack for it. It's more so I got a lot of comments about it, and I've had a lot of people just ask me about it. We've gotten into a few discussions about it in my Discord, and it's just something that I feel like can be pretty interesting to talk about, so why not? So recently, I had said, I don't know if that video's out yet, I believe it is, but I had said that I personally would never recommend pulling for a single target DPS over a multi-target one. I personally feel that it is just not the best investment, and in most cases, I would always recommend a multi-target DPS over a single-target DPS to newer players, and better players, that is once again perfectly fine, but we'll kind of get into that a bit more later, but especially for newer players, I would never recommend it personally. Now, realistically, I understand why I'm getting a lot of questions about that, because it's kind of insane. I'm just actively recommending against an entire type of character that is present in this game. But honestly, I don't think I'm that far off with it. So again, we're going to get into it. The example that I talked about was essentially, I truly do not think getting a character like Boothill, getting a character like Fei Xiao, or Dr. Ratio, I would not recommend getting any of those over a character like the Herda, getting a character like Aglaya, getting a character like Acheron. Okay, actually, maybe not Acheron. Acheron's kind of rough. But then even a character like Rappa as well. I said that I think those characters can be better investments over getting the single target characters. So, the reason I kind of say that is I don't think single target damage is worth losing your ability to hit multiple targets in any way, shape, or form. Because I can pull up comparisons real quick. So, let's grab somebody like the Herda and Fei Xiao. As per usual, shout out Predwin for doing all of this good stuff. It makes my life significantly easier as a content creator. This is one target damage for the Herda at E0. They have two different light cones listed, which is pretty nice. So, when we look at this, the damage there for Herda signature is 700,000 with the way they have their calculations done. And then for 3 targets, it's actually 1.8 million, and then 5 targets, which the Herda is of course capable of hitting, is 3 million. Okay, so pretty good. But we're really focusing on just this one target right here. So now, let's go over to Fei Xiao. So, looking at Fei Xiao's calculations, we have the one target scenario again, 900,000 damage. Obviously, 900,000 is bigger than 700,000. We don't need to talk about that. And this is being taken into account without Fei Xiao's signature. Fei Xiao's signature will obviously get her to even higher damage levels. So looking at those two comparisons, obviously in a single target scenario, Fei Xiao is just stronger. Fei Xiao is objectively just stronger than the Herda. Not to mention, they're both going to be working with fairly similar team compositions because they both really want another character alongside them. With Herda, you're obviously going to want another erudition like Jade or Mini Herda. And then for Fei Xiao, you're going to want a Topaz, you're going to want a March, or you're going to want a Mose. So both characters have this similar way of functioning, with the main difference being that Herda will hit all enemies, and Fei Xiao is mainly just focusing one. However, that one key feature is why I am going to recommend the Herda over Fei Xiao. When we look at all the content in the game, single target sucks right now. There are so few things that actually prioritize hitting one enemy. There is almost nothing in this game that prioritizes hitting one enemy. Now, one of the things I've seen recently was it was Fei Xiao zero cycling the newest Nikador fight for MOC, which that makes sense, because Nikador, the way the fight works is that you can get away without hitting the pillars. You can just hard focus him, and that'll be perfectly fine. So, a single target attacker can actually do a good job there. The thing is, though, to even get to that, think about the enemies you have to fight beforehand. It's 2 of the, like, quote-unquote mini-boss enemies with the Arumaton, like, is it Arumaton? I don't know. Anyway, it's the giant robot. You have to fight him, and then you have to fight one of the guys with war armor. So, that is already, you now have to fight 2 enemies with your single target DPS. And while they're much weaker, so it's not really that consequential, that still just automatically makes your character a lot worse, because now you're getting that 900,000 damage on only one enemy, whereas the Herda is getting, like, what was it, like, over 1 million on both of those enemies? Like, you're getting 1 million in total, so it's like, either way, you are now getting such a high level of damage on both enemies at the same time, making it automatically much easier, and then you're getting straight into the Nigador fight. Whenever you get into that Nigador fight, obviously then Fei Xiao is going to do better with her team. She already has the higher damage output, and then if you have a well-built team for both characters, then Fei Xiao is going to be able to do a good job against Nigador. Even with that said, though, we need to always remember characters at the absolute highest levels. It really will not make that much of a difference. Your damage is still going to be insane. Go look at, like, an amazing the Herda build and an amazing Fei Xiao build. Guess what? Everything is gonna die either way. Because that's just how good characters in this game work, and that's how good a good team comp can be for these characters. At the end of the day, you're still gonna destroy things, but guess what? One of those characters is going to give you a bit of an easier time with it, because their damage is still super high and is dispersed significantly better. And it is going to be the Herda. With that out of the way, I think it's also, we need to address the other elephant in the room. There is an entire game mode dedicated to multi-target fights. Pure Fiction, I've talked about it a lot. Pure Fiction is probably my least favorite game mode in this entire game. And it is because, me personally, I don't really have a very good team for it. The most recent Pure Fiction run, I ran my Aglaya team, and my Aglaya team did pretty good. I think I got like 37,000 points, so that was enough to make sure the other half was just whatever. The mode just annoys me because you need a good AoE character for it, and characters like Firefly, characters like Fei Xiao, characters like Boothill, they're just not good for it. They can do it. Very, very technically, they can do it. But at the end of the day, how easy something is for your character does matter a lot. And these characters are going to have a way harder time than if you just have, like, a really good Jingyuan, a really good Rappa, like a really good Argenti. You have a Jade and the Herda, or Jade and just normal Herda. Like, you have options if you have these AoE characters. They are more built to always deal with multi-targets, and they're perfect for that mode. So, Pure Fiction, to be fair, it's 800 Jades. 800 Jades is far from essential. You can go without it. I don't want to make it seem like it's some big, big thing that it's like, oh, it's the end of the world that you can't do all 4 levels. No, it's 800 Jades. It's not a huge deal. However, that is still more Jades. And to do that, it is really, really required that you have some form of good AoE. Now, obviously, the game is pretty nice in that sense. It gives you Herda, who is super, super good for the mode, and she has always been super, super good for the mode. So, that's a benefit, if nothing else. Yeah, it's just, there is an entire game mode dedicated to AoE, and having a good character for it will always make your life better, because you can only have Mini Herda do one half. So, by having somebody like an Aglaya, an Acheron, a Rappa, the Herda, your life is going to be significantly easier finishing that Pure Fiction. Now, I know what some of you are saying if I'm talking about Pure Fiction. Well, for single target, they put in Apocalyptic Shadow. Apocalyptic Shadow was supposed to be like extremely break focused and extremely single target focused to make those characters really shine again. Yeah, so I'm going to be honest, I had a bit of a talk about this in one of the other videos. What the fuck is going on with Apocalyptic Shadow? Because it doesn't feel like that. It doesn't feel like it actually benefits single target characters. I talked about it when the Herda came out, That Apocalyptic Shadow was entirely aimed at the Herta. All of the enemies had ice weakness, there was a huge buff for erudition specifically, and then the Herta gets a huge buff out of erudition, so you're just getting you're just compiling just crack with your cocaine. It's insane. You're just getting so much more. Bro, why did I make that reference? Don't cut it, it'll be funny. Yeah, Apocalyptic Shadow, even then, it literally targeted itself towards a character who is multi-target. And not to mention, a lot of these Apocalyptic Shadow bosses, they require you to kind of get rid of minions, or they require you to do multiple steps before getting rid of the main boss. Like, they have a massive damage reduction. That doesn't benefit single target characters. In the case of the Phantalia fight a while ago, it locks her weakness bar, and you get the 50% damage reduction or whatever it is. That sucks, because then that means you have to get rid of the little leaves, or what is essentially her little minions. You have to get rid of those to actually do any substantial damage to the boss. And the thing is, though, as a single target attacker, guess what? You gotta do that with your turn, and then you're losing out on damage. I'm going back to this Phantalia fight just because that's one of the ones I did, that's like the one that's sticking out the most in my memory. With Aglaya, I did it. I was able to attack both of her little minions at the same time and get more of the boosts out of it because it would give you a buff every time you broke it, and it was required to get her weakness bar unlocked. So I would attack both the leaves, I would get both the buffs, and then I would get to go through the fight even faster, doing even more damage. That's huge. That really makes it easier. So now, going back to just how the single target works, if you had somebody like a boothill with Fugue and Ron May and all that, you're still going to get a lot of turns more than likely. Like, a good boothill team, you're still going to get a lot of turns and you're going to be able to make that work perfectly fine, but at the end of the day, again, it's all about the ease of it, and these characters provide a much easier time, even in a game mode that's meant to be dominated by single target attackers. I think the other one that kind of comes to mind was the robots from Rappa's Quest, the little banana mentor squad, whatever they are. The whole gimmick of that fight is essentially that they have the shared HP pool, which that could be good, but you're constantly going to get hit by their little bullshit effects if you don't hit them to reduce their count or break them. Once again, if you have a multi-target character, that's going to be way easier. And with the case of a shared HP pool, yeah, you're still going to be doing a lot of damage now because, you know, it's shared HP, so whatever damage you do is going to mean something no matter what. In the case of if you're using like a Fei Xiao versus you're using like a Ling Sha Super Break, you're going to spread out that damage a lot more, not only reducing the count on their effects, but also lowering their weakness bars constantly, so that you can get to the end result of what Apocalyptic Shadow is, where you break the weakness bar and you get to go all out on them. It's just something that, yeah, there's just nothing else to say. Single target just, it has that advantage in being more powerful. That's not disputable. Boothill at E0 with a good team is still breaking 1 million damage easily in most cases. That's wild. A lot of characters can't stand up to that. But in the case of all of these things, you can only do that to one enemy when you need to fight multiple. It's just annoying, and ultimately it makes for what I feel like is just a worse experience than just getting a multi-target DPS. Now, as per usual, now that we're at kind of nearing the end of the rant, I want to once again say, you can play this game however you want. Anything is possible. I've seen people zero cycle with base Dan Heng, so don't let the statements of one madman on the internet dissuade you in any way, shape, or form. I'm just here to yap, and I like yapping. But again, these are just my thoughts, and I really wanted to share them because, yeah, it was just an interesting topic, and I feel like there was real merit to the argument I made. There are going to be a lot of opinions on this, and I always like to hear them because, I don't know, I just can't see much of a reason why you wouldn't want to get a multi-target DPS. Now, I want to also say this. I do think getting a single target DPS is still, like, perfectly fine, because I myself have Fei Xiao. I love Fei Xiao. She is one of my favorite characters in this game by far. And she still works pretty well, but again, I just want to really clarify this. I absolutely think you should invest in multi-target DPS first. Get good multi-target DPS first. Get one or two of them first before you consider investing into a single target, in my opinion. That's mainly what I want to get at, like, in its final form. Because there are going to be cases where single target will be good. Like in the Hule fights, the wolves, his little wolf minions, don't matter as much except for when he enters his kind of frenzied state. You can just kill him before that. That is absolutely possible. Single target was great against Hule. But Hule is not always going to be there, and that's kind of the problem we're running into. It's just, single target just feels more specific than multi-target. And it's a bit unfortunate, but that's kind of just, I feel like, the reality we're in, which is why I have this opinion. That's what I wanted to say. I really hope you guys enjoyed this. And yeah, if you have any opinions or you want to talk about this in the comments, leave a comment. I will be more than happy to respond. And yeah, hope you guys look forward to more of these videos coming out, and I will see you guys next time. Bye-bye.